Good evening. Ken, do you want to, Ken Matthews from CB Development is also here as well. Ken, do you want to say any words ahead of the presentation?
Sure. Just quickly, just by update, Ryan's going to go through the details here. So I'll just be real brief. We're at the point where the documents are just about finalized, making our last edits to them with the goal of going out to bid in approximately 2 weeks, with the bids being due in mid-October. And then the goal would be to award the project, assuming everything's within the project budget, in early November at the school board meeting, and then get the contractor started immediately thereafter. So we're here tonight, Ryan's to give you the update on everything, what the building looks like, the budget, and then we'll be asking your permission to go out to do the bid advertisement and go out to bid. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to Ryan.
Great, thank you, Ken. Pleasure to be back in front of you. We're excited to get project one of the Haverford High School project underway. So with that, we've been busy during the construction document phase, working on project phasing, both of the site of the project and of the building. We've held numerous meetings between staff, administration, teachers. We've also engaged a few other consultants that we haven't spoken about before, a masonry consultant to address some of the issues of the facade at the high school. We worked on other pieces such as selecting finishes for the interior of the building. And as Ken mentioned, that construction drawing set is nearing completion. And obviously, we've secured a cost estimate from Becker and Frondorf, who's been our cost estimator through this project. So as a brief overview, the overall high school project is broken into 2 projects. Project 1 is the 3-story classroom wing addition that adds on to the existing classroom wing out the back of the high school. In conjunction with that is the site work that expands the parking lot, also to the rear of the high school. And then project 2 is the single-story classroom addition towards the music and athletics wing of the building. So jumping into some more detail, the existing floor plan of the high school, and then the additions and renovations. The yellow pieces are the additions. Project 1 is the top right of the screen. That yellow classroom bar is a 3-story classroom bar of both classrooms and science labs. The blue attached to that is just a small renovation piece on 3 floors, which allows us to connect into our new addition. That's project 1. Project 2, bottom left hand of your screen, is the yellow is once again the addition of the orchestra and band room. The blue below that is a renovation into a Chorus Lifetime Fitness, which was previously the fitness room, the orchestra room, and the band room. And then we have some work below the stage, which transforms the chorus, the existing chorus room a little bit. So in a little bit of an elaboration on project 1, the classroom wing, once again, just a close-up zoom in of that classroom corridor, an image of what the exterior will look like. So we're taking similar cues from the existing high school building, same red brick for a bulk of the addition, and then the end where there are 3 stacked labs, a mix of decorated concrete masonry units, so a larger scale masonry unit with some accent light brick. Plenty of natural light in this addition. And then as we jump into an animation, we're going through the existing corridor, and then we attach through that renovation into the new corridor. And as we travel through the corridor, I can't tell if it's jumping. It's jumping for me. Not sure if it's jumping for all of you or if it's smooth. But we go from the corridor into the general classroom.
Yeah, it's jumping for us as well.
Is it?
So,
Okay.
yes, you can narrate what you're seeing. It sounds like that's what we're seeing.
Okay, all right. Well, you get the idea of the animation. Yeah, it's a little too jumpy. We have some still images in case this was the case. We tested it, but it wasn't clear enough. Perhaps we can post this on YouTube and share the link in the future.
Great, thank you.
So moving to the still images, they show virtually the same thing as the animation. The animation just puts a little bit more life into it. So this is the new corridor in the addition. Very lively because it's a single loaded corridor. We have glass into the corridor. And then on the first floor of the addition, we have 3 general classrooms, teaching wall on the front and back wall, plenty of casework for storage, plenty of natural light. At the end of the corridor for this addition, we have 3 stacked labs. On the first floor, it's a learning lab, which could be used for business, could be used for other classes, math, things like that. Once again, plenty of storage, plenty of natural light, lots of teaching area. Then on the second floor, we have 2 biology labs with a shared prep room in the middle. These are equipped with sinks around the perimeter. They'll have chemical resistance countertops, plenty of space for biology to work. Then the next floor up, on the third floor, we have 2 physics classrooms, plenty of storage, plenty of workspace, once again with a shared science workshop or student project room between the 2. So this addition gives us total, we built 11 classrooms, 7 of those are labs. For our general classrooms, we renovate 3 classrooms into 3 smaller SGIs, which allow us to connect into the existing building. So that gives us a total gain of 7 labs, 1 extra general classroom, and then 3 SGIs. Also, as part of Project One, which we introduced last time we spoke at the end of the design development phase, we're going to work on some of the existing chemistry classrooms, biology classrooms now. So previously we had talked about conversion of some of the chemistry classrooms into labs. So we're extending the gas lines. We're also adding some fume hoods to 4 of the classrooms that currently don't have them. We're adding sinks to some of the classrooms that don't have them as well. And then in addition, all of the countertops and sinks will be chemical and flame resistant to make these full-fledged chemistry labs. The addition from last time as well is some work to the biology labs. It was brought to our attention that some of the sinks weren't in the greatest condition, so we're going to replace those. And also 2 of the biology classrooms did not have sinks to be usable as workstations. So we're adding sinks to those 2 classrooms in order to make them full functioning biology lab classrooms. There's also an alternate, if bids come in favorably, to replace the countertops in all the biology labs as well. So that allows us to create 5 additional complete chemistry labs and 2 additional complete biology labs. So that would be Project One, and that project's bidding. We were asking you to allow us to put that project out to bid this fall. So that's everything that's included within the building for Project One. We wanted to show you an update on Project Two. We're still working on Project Two, but as that bid date hasn't been determined yet, we're still working on it. So once again, this is the music edition, music and athletic edition. So you can see there where it would go in the parking lot. When we reorganize the existing building into Lifetime Fitness as well as chorus, we get a corridor that connects back to orchestra and band. And you can see the rendering, the exterior rendering here will be a mix of brick and metal panel with a set of sloped roofs in order to get us more height in the 2 larger instrumental music rooms. We're going to skip over the animation because I imagine it's going to be just as choppy. As part of this renovation at the very beginning, or as part of this project at the very beginning of that animation, you could see we're going to renovate the rest of the public corridor. So past the gymnasium and boys locker room to the end of the existing corridor would be renovated with tile, similar color scheme as the existing public corridor. We're also going to renovate the existing fitness room and orchestra room into Fitness Classroom 1 and Fitness Classroom 2. Fitness Classroom 1 here has athletic flooring, mirrors. This will host the equipment for not only fitness classes, but also sports teams. Fitness Room 2 will feature a turf floor, once again with mirrors and displays for teaching. Jumping to the chorus classroom, this takes over the space previously occupied by the band room. Tall ceilings, as well as acoustical treatments tuned for vocal ensembles. And similarly, the two new spaces that are being built in the addition, the orchestra classroom, a large volume, also tuned to string instruments. And then lastly, the band classroom, tall, large volume space fit for the size of these ensembles, as well as tuned to these instrumental programs. So with Project 2, we would build 2 classrooms, band and orchestra, renovate a portion of the existing building into 2 classrooms, chorus and fitness. Then the 2 projects for site. Project 1 to the right side of your screen hosts the 3-story classroom wing with that additional parking area. You can see the red dashed line going through the center there. That would be the cutoff line for Project 1. So everything to the right would be bid this fall. Everything to the left as Project 2 would be bid at a future date. And now to the cost estimate. Costs have come back favorably. We'll start there. We added in a bit of additional scope from the design development phase, but we were able to cost effectively manage those scope changes, and as well as find some cost savings in some other portions of the project. So the design development number, Project 1, with soft cost, the total there is just over 9.6 million. With the additions of some of the science labs and other items like that, that Project 1 cost has come in at just over $10 million. And as we talked about before, we're still working on Project 2 documentation, so we haven't secured a cost estimate for that project yet, but we're working towards that. We hope to have that later this year. The other 2 portions of the project that we presented at design development were mechanical upgrades. So the HVAC infrastructure, which are essentially the existing chillers in the basement. This estimate is where some savings were found. So this cost reduced by about $400,000. So that was favorable. And this portion of the project would be bid as an alternate for Project 1. The gymnasium HVAC would have to be conducted in conjunction or after Project 2. So that would be bid as an alternate when Project 2 is bid. So that cost is still the same cost as design development. But we'd be looking to get an updated bid for that as well. So as you can see, the total project cost at design development for Project 1 and 2 was just over 17 million. The estimated project cost after the construction documents estimate of Project 1 rose a little bit to just over 17.7. But you can see with some of the money that we're anticipating saving with the HVAC infrastructure upgrade alternate, we're anticipating that the overall project cost to only rise by about $135,000. So very favorable cost estimates heading into the bidding of Project 1, and we hope to see how those bids come back, as Ken mentioned. So tonight we're asking for the approval to advertise and bid Project 1. We put those bid documents out a little later in September, have them back in about a month, and then be back to the school board to share those results and ask for award of those construction contracts on November 5th. Construction would then start January 1, and in a short 8-month period, the school would be ready, the addition would be ready for students the beginning of September 2021. And then as we stated before, Project 2, that schedule is yet to be determined. So with that, are there any questions or comments?
Thanks, Ryan.
The only thing quick, sorry, Larry,
Go ahead.
excuse me. The only thing just to mention is the nice part is this project is separate from the rest of the high school. We're not going to affect any operations. It will be nicely fenced in the field back there. So it will really be separate from the school and won't affect, the students and whatnot. So it will be at least safely out of the way of all school operations.
Thanks, Ken. Questions or comments from the board? Antoinette?
Yeah, sorry, let me just start my video. Can we just get some background? Because I know, there are probably a couple of folks who don't follow every single board meeting, but just get some background as to why we're building this this extra wing, and generally, just summarizing previous discussions as to why this is happening now, especially in light of budgetary concerns.
I can start off with that, and then Mike, if there's anything that Ken wants to add to it, or any of my other colleagues. We started, I won't have the exact years committed to memory now. We started taking a look at our enrollment. It initially began looking at our enrollment at the elementary levels and what was going on there, and then quickly realized that the bubbles that had been occurring now produced students already in our schools that were going to be coming up through our system to the point where our high school will have over 2,200 students in it, and started planning for that. The capacity is not there. And the option would be, if we were not adding classrooms on there, the option would be to have extremely high class sizes in there. So I'm sorry, I don't have the exact dates committed to memory, but that's what, and thank you for asking, that's what started this work a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and it was estimated at approximately 400 students that were coming in, and that's how we went through the whole detailed programming process, looking at what we could do on the inside of the building versus adding an addition, and then came to this conclusion as the most efficient, cost-effective way to create space for those additional students.
Thanks. Ken, can you also just explain, because with the addition of the classroom, so it looks like we're also adding parking, and I know you've explained it before, but can you just also explain why we need to do that?
Sure, that's part of the requirements of all the township ordinances. So when you build a building for, Ryan, I forget the calculation, but it's X square feet, you have to have a parking space, each employee that's estimated to be in, you have to have a parking space. So that's how you get to the parking count. We actually exceed that. It's like what's required by 7 or 8 spaces. I believe we have 47 or so additional spaces. So that's just by building square footage, you have to do that. So that's part of the process. And practically speaking, with additional staff and whatnot, you would need parking. And I think everybody knows the parking at the high school, there's not a space left. So certainly space is needed to be added. So that's the reason for that.
Great. Well, thanks, Ken. Thanks, Dr. Rucci, for explaining those.
Next up, Bridget.
Thank you. One feature we had seen in previous discussions about the classroom addition was a green roof. Can you just comment as to whether that's still a part of the design?
Yes, it is. As part of the approval process through zoning, we are required to have 50% green roof, which is basically, they're trays of grasses that sit on top of the roof, so it naturally absorbs the water, grows, you don't have to irrigate it. Mother Nature does that. So we have what, Ryan, about 50% of this classroom roof and about maybe a third of the music wing roof.
Yes, so 50% of the classroom wing addition is green roof, and then actually it's probably closer to two-thirds of the music wing addition. So all the 2 sloped roofs on the music wing addition would be green roof as well. So.
Thank you. Yeah, that's just an interesting feature to highlight.
Yeah.
In terms of the construction schedule with the project that would start in January and aim to be done for the beginning of school in the fall of 2021, it feels like that's a tighter schedule, you know, in comparison to the longer period we have for building the whole new Linwood. And also we're starting in January. Can you just speak to kind of some of the timing or the sense of, is there any cushion or, you know, what might be the kind of milestones that we should be looking for from January to the start of school to make sure this wing stays on pace?
Sure. So yes, Bridget, it's certainly, it's an aggressive schedule, but it's very doable. I mean, realistically, to build an entire new school is roughly a 15, 16-month process. So, you know, we're building this shoebox edition, so to speak. You know, it's very simple construction, but we do have to hit some major milestones. We're writing them into the contract. That's all going to be part of the what they have to commit to. That's going to be part of the pre-bid conferences we go through. So we're going to write specific contractual milestones they have to meet. Foundations done by March 1st, steel done by April 15th, you know, building enclosed by June 1st, and I fine tune those dates, but that's kind of the approximate progression to make sure they're hitting those targets, because you know, it has to be done. It isn't, you know, like many other school projects, you can't miss a date. So that's going to be a lot of day-to-day monitoring and keeping up with that. So the winter construction will be built into the project. So them dealing with any, you know, frost and whatnot. And honestly, it's not a huge deal. Even if the ground's frozen, you dig out a little bit, you put blankets on the ground, and you pour foundation. So there's a lot of cold weather procedures that are all in place. You know, it's typical in construction. So it's not a huge concern. Actually, rain and wet, nasty weather is a lot worse. Like what happened 2 weeks ago, that would have been catastrophic if you were in the middle of doing foundation work. But a little bit of frozen ground, not a big deal. Just scrape off the frost and keep going. So, so that we just really have to monitor and work through it and make sure that contractor stays on top of their schedule.
Thanks. And just one final question in terms of timing, and probably not for Ryan or Ken, but in order to commit to this project, we will need to commit to the funding to go along with it. And could someone just walk us through what, you know, what kind of the budget and kind of impact on our operating budget and debt service, when we'll be able to see that and start to be able to consider the financing impact of the project?
Okay, the financing is in place already for total cost of Linwood plus phase one. So we've already committed to that. We've already borrowed the money, and phase two is a question mark only because of the way the economy is and how we're going to fit this into our budget. So really, phase two of this project is contingent upon when we're ready to borrow again and be able to fit it into the budget. So everything else is in place. So that's why we went forward with it. And we also talked about the add alternates being added to that, being able to fit that in also, because the borrowing includes that. So everything that you see in phase two phase one is already covered in bond issues.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Susan?
Thanks, Larry. I guess this question is for Ryan. When I look at your drawings for down by the gym, and then we go into the music rooms, the weight rooms, there are no bathrooms down there. And what I remember is one single bathroom behind the auditorium that when there are shows or anything going on, there's a lineup. And it's not, students are not allowed to go in there. There's also another ladies' room over by the gym, but I didn't see any bathrooms in the drawing.
Sure. So we, as part of this project, we are adding some bathrooms. Let me try to get back to an overall plan. So the bathrooms behind the auditorium are going to stay as is, and then we are adding a few.
Just one. I mean, it's just one small bathroom, I think, with 2 stalls, but okay.
Right by the
Right there.
music chorus. Yes, in the main gym auditorium area, there's two bathrooms right there. We're adding 2 toilets to the female side and 1 to the male side there. So there will be some additional toilets down at this end of the building. And then for project 1, there is a stack of 3 toilet rooms being built as part of the renovation in that end of the building.
I mean, I get that, but what you're telling me actually is we're only going to get 1 new toilet in the boys' room because there already are 2 in the girls' room. And my concern is that when we use our elementary schools or middle schools come into the auditorium, these kids need to use the restroom. And these are not enough for those Sundays or those night times when they have shows. Now you're saying maybe they have to go all the way down the hall to the other side of the school, which is usually closed off. So it's just something that I think we need to think about. And my thoughts always go to kids and, functions of daily living, I guess. And I think that's a concern. It's always been a concern. And now that we were redoing it, I have to be honest, I assume there would be maybe a larger area for that. My question.
Yeah, well, Susan, I think we can certainly, that's a great point. We'll certainly review it and report back.
Thank you. Okay, thanks.
Kristen?
Thanks. Ken, I'm thinking in terms of when this goes out to bid. I know when we put Linwood out to bid, there was quite a bit of construction going on in this general area in the city of Philadelphia and surrounding areas. So we didn't get a whole lot of bids back. Has that landscape changed? Can we expect that, contractors are actively looking for work, or are they pretty busy right now?
No, I've been talking to some folks, and it does sound like, contractors are looking for work. So we're hopeful that we get some aggressive bids. The one thing with Linwood, it was really the general contractor. We only had two bidders for that. The other trades, we did have a decent response. So I'm starting to make calls, make sure we get interest in the bid. The contractors at Linwood, are doing a good job. Want to make sure that they're looking to bid this work. I spoke to the electrician. It sounded like they're going to be ready to bid some work coming up. So we'll keep pushing on that and calling folks. I know Ryan would do the same. So we'll keep pushing on that. So we're hopeful that we get a good response.
The more bids, the better. So thank you.
That's absolutely right.
Any other questions from the board? Well, Ryan, Ken, thank you both very much.
Do we want to talk anything about Linwood, Dr. Rushi?
Yes, go ahead. Thank you.
So just quick update, as far as schedule, Linwood, things are moving along very well. Still only looking like it might finish just a few weeks past the February 1st, the current completion date, but ceilings are going in, tile started. So things are progressing very well from that standpoint. So one of the things we're at the point where we've got proposals to move forward with some of the security. If you all recall, it's probably a year ago now, we had a discussion about installing wireless battery operated locks throughout the building. So where, so the district was starting to think about moving away from traditional locks. And the benefit of this is that you've recently upgraded your computer system, your security system throughout the district over this summer to a new platform. Your old system was getting kind of up there in age and it was time to upgrade. So now the same contractor who's a CoStar vendor has submitted the proposal for this building. So it includes all the wireless locks, and it includes you have 19 doors around the perimeter of the building that are actual card readers. So you come in, the exterior door, you swipe your card reader, that opens those doors. So the security vendor is doing that part of the project as well. We took that out of what had normally in the past been in the general contractor's scope of work. So those two items combined, the dollars do add up. It's a total of $354,000, but it's all fit within the project budget. We reviewed it with the facilities committee last week, went through the details. So it's no different than your furniture vendors or co-stars. We're going to buy playground equipment direct. So this is just it's a company called the Protection Bureau. So the district will just contract with them directly, and that's part of what will assist in managing, and they'll get started here over the next 3 to 4 weeks, putting in the infrastructure and doing their portion of the work. So just wanted to let everybody know that, and if anybody had any questions.
Any other questions from the board?
Looking good out there, Ken.
Yeah.
It's looking.
Yeah, everybody's doing a nice job. Contractors have been good to work with, so we're sure that will continue over the next 6 months to completion.
Great. Thank you very much.